All right, well, appreciate everybody for being here again today. Obviously, a tough one for us not to be able to come out of that environment. With a win, I think had some chances offensively, especially defensively there at the end to be able to leave that place with a positive result. So that was tough. I thought the first half. We got off to a pretty good start, forced a field goal. Were able to go down and score, and thought, we could have did a few things better defensively just on some of the short yardage situations. I did think offensively we were able to capitalize on some penalties and things like that, and really, did a good job of getting points off of mistakes that were made, and then also just being able to drive the football and do it a lot of different ways, move the ball, running it. A lot of different guys caught the ball, used our tight ends, used our receivers, throw the ball down the field some, throw it underneath, and I thought we really did a good job of playing complementary football there, and had a lead at halftime. And then obviously the third quarter was not very good for us. We didn't play complementary football. Defensively, we were on the field too long. Offensively, we had a couple 3-and-outs there. And then, I think that's one thing that we've got to continue to do a better job of, is just continue to build depth, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I think that was, something that hurt us in the third quarter, when we were on the field quite a bit. After that, I did think, we got down 10. They got the ball. I can't remember where it was at, but it was close to midfield. And we knew our defense had to, really, bow up at that point, because going down 3 scores, late in the third quarter or early in the fourth was going to be a really tough situation for us to be able to be in. So we got a 3-and-out, got off the field, and then our offense started rolling from there on out, and really felt like, from the end of the third quarter all the way until that last 2-minute drive for them, that we were controlling the football game, and that, momentum was on our sideline. So now I think it comes down to the response, moving forward. I do think that there's going to be adversity. There's moments, teachable moments that you need to go through in order for your football team to be able to grow. And now for us, it's about going 1-0 and having that 1-0 response, and treating every day this week like it is the last 3 minutes in Manhattan, right? And really trying to win every day. Beat our opponent not just on game day, but throughout the week too as well. So. A couple other things, obviously on the injury front. Aiden didn't play. Sam Strandell didn't play as well. We think Aiden will probably be out here yet this week. We'll see how that goes. We're hoping to get Sam back in some capacity here this week. And then Caleb Olson got hurt there at the end of the first half. Tried to come back there in the second half, and he'll probably be out this week too as well. So that's other than that, we got out of there pretty clean. So yeah, I'll open it up to any questions you might have.
Coach, sometimes it feels like after you watch a bunch of practice, there's still so much to learn once the game becomes live. Now that we've seen one live game, was there anything that jumped out to you that maybe took you by any sort of surprise based off, it went from practice to game here? Anything that once the lights turned on looked different to you?
Yeah, great question, right? We talk about that a lot here. Like, hey, practice is about performance and the games are for learning. And I thought, in a big time environment with a lot of guys playing, some of their first football that they've played, like real football in their careers, when the game was on the line, that we played pretty well. And I think there's definitely some guys in there that we need to get better, that need to improve, but they've showed that they can play winning football, in a big time environment. Obviously, the 2-minute drill at the end, is something that we practice a lot. You're up 4, you really felt like, you wanted to make them throw it in there at that point. They had thrown a lot of footballs to us at that point, and felt like, hey, man, like they throw one more to us, like we're going to catch this one and end the football game. And obviously not to be able to close it, we'll take a look, within, like how can we do a better job there to be able to help our guys that are on the field and try to give those guys a positive result. But ultimately, I thought 3 penalties I think we had throughout the game, no substitution issues. Those are usually the things that show up, in game one. I think our guys were dialed in. Obviously, you do a ton of walkthroughs and different personnel, practices that you make sure that, everybody knows where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be there. So that part of it I thought was pretty clean. And then just ultimately it's about us just making one more play and finishing stronger. And if we can do that, I think, we got an opportunity to have a pretty good football team.
Coach, how'd you feel
your team, responding to the fact that nighttime game, on the road in a big time environment. How did you feel that they responded to that?
Yeah, I didn't think the environment was was anything that our guys couldn't handle. I think that's something that gets talked a lot about around here. We changed our travel schedule up a little bit, just as far as making sure that we can get as much stuff done here. To be able to use our locker room, our practice fields, our dining centers, all those types of things. Before we got out of here, but I thought the guys did a great job. They handled the trip really well. I think we had, close to we took 74 people there. I think we had 38 guys or something like that were on their first trip at UND. I thought like I said, they did a good job. They understood that we were down there for one reason, to go down there and get a win. I thought there was a lot of belief, in the plane on the way down. During the game, and there was a lot of disappointment, in the plane on the way home. So yeah, I thought our guys did a good job. We're I think getting to the point where we're a mature football team where guys understand, hey, this is what it's going to be about day in and day out. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. You got to be consistent every single day in order for us to be able to be a championship football team. And like I said, now it's about the response, and we're doubling down on, hey, going 1-0 every single day. Like, hey, let's treat, a Tuesday practice. Can you do that? Can you treat a Tuesday practice like it's the last 3 minutes that you just got done in Manhattan? Can you, if you got to take a test in December, can you treat, the final like you're preparing for it in September right now, the way you're going to treat it in December, 3 months from now? So that's what we're going to, really put the emphasis now is, hey, that game's over. We got to put it in the rearview mirror, and now we got to be able to make sure we respond and learn from it.
Going into that fourth quarter, down 10, your team didn't blink. What did that teach you and the coaching staff about this group of guys?
Yeah, I think like I said, we're a resilient group. I don't think there was any panic on the sidelines. I think both sides of the ball understood that, hey, we have enough, good players and coaches, that we're going to have an opportunity here if we just right the ship a little bit, communicate better, talk better, have better first down plays, just start drives better. If we do that, we're going to have an opportunity yet to be able to win this football game. So I don't think there was any, panic that set in. There wasn't any, frustration or anything like that. We were on to the next play, type of deal. And I think, there was a lot of confidence in just, hey, we had a couple bad series here. We're not playing very well. Like I said, it took one stop, and then we got momentum, back to our offense, and then our offense started rolling there, again in the fourth quarter. So, it was great to see. It's something we preach here all the time, but to be able to see the guys really live it, in a tough situation was exactly what we were hoping that we would see on Saturday.
All right, well, my final question for you is, you guys have a game this Saturday. How exciting is it to be, at the Alaris Center and being able to be in front of your home crowd and get these guys ready for a home game?
Yeah, no, I think that's the thing right now that we're ready for. We want to prepare for here this weekend. We want that place rocking and rolling. We've talked a lot about in the offseason, hey, we want to fill the corners there, every single Saturday. We got a good opponent coming in here, Portland State. We know we're going to get their best. Big Sky opponent. Somebody that has a lot of, skill at the skill positions. They're good at receiver. They do a good job, formations and things like that to be able to really take advantage of some of the mismatches that they think that they can exploit on the teams that they've played here so far. Then defensively, they've been put in some tough situations, but I think they really play hard. I think they do a good job of being able to take your 3 or 4 best, plays, whatever those are, and try to take those away from you and try to make you beat them left-handed. But, at the end of the day, it's about us. And it's about us making sure we have the right attitude in our preparation. We have the right attitude, going into the game, and that we play up to our capabilities. And I think that's where we're going to keep the focus.
Kind of echoing that, looking at this weekend, going ahead, does your team have maybe a little bit more confidence just knowing that they could hang with a team like K-State? Just making sure that they kind of ride that momentum into this contest? Yeah,
I think there's definitely some positives. We didn't leave there as, hey, this is a consolation prize, as far as being able to gain some confidence and knowing that, hey, we played 4 quarters against a good football team and had an opportunity to be able to win at the end. I think every week's new, but I do think that, past success at times can be an indicator of future success. It doesn't always work that way, but a lot of times, it'll definitely work out that way. We know that we have to put in the work every single week in order for us to be a successful football team, and we need to improve. Like I said, one thing that we're really emphasizing with our teams on both sides of the ball is like we have to get more roster protection. Like our 2s and 3s need to take a jump here this week so that when we put them in the game, we can continue to be successful and play good football. Because we can't have our starters playing 50, 60, 70 plays a game and expect those guys to still be able to play at a high level in November and December. So that's something I think that's really important here for us moving forward, is that we continue to develop those guys and that we start to accumulate some depth here on both sides of the football.
Thanks for being here. Exciting to get a chance to talk to you. But just recapping Kansas State, thought the staff and the players did a heck of a job of putting a great plan together, number one. And then number two, at times executing at a high level. But I could not echo the message that Coach Schmidt said earlier more. Discipline and consistently good is what we need to strive to get better at. Did some good things, had some success, but just too inconsistent at the end of the day to finish the game that we wanted to finish with a win. And had some good guys that stepped up and made some plays and did some nice things for us. But again, just too inconsistent. When one of our core values is discipline, you can't have the pre-snap penalties and the footballs on the ground. In terms of 2 fumbles and stuff like that. So we got to make sure that we get that stuff ironed out here as we move forward. But ultimately, was proud of the staff and how we prepared, proud of the guys and how they prepared and applied the plan. Just wish we could have executed a little bit better in those critical situations. Felt like we had some good plans put together, good plays put together for that. I feel like I could have been better here in the third quarter to help our guys have better success. But ultimately, it was an exciting opportunity for us, but we're looking forward to putting it in the rearview mirror and getting prepared for Portland State. So,
Coach, what stuck out to you about Jerry Kaminsky's game on Saturday?
Man, that's a tough question. To be honest with you, Tom, nothing. I mean, what we've seen from spring to the fall, he showed up. He did it, and I think, like Coach says all the time, the work works. And that group, Jerry in particular, put time in. They put extra time in. There's extra meeting time. There's extra, conversation about. What are we looking at here? What are we looking at there? Why are we looking at that? Hey, do you have more time to look at my footwork in this situation or in that situation? So, it's a really difficult question to think about and answer, to be honest with you, because I think nothing really surprised me with what he did. Call sheet was full and wide open, and we let it rip. And that would have been the same had he taken every snap or taken 50% of the snaps. So I feel really good about where that group's at right now, and but the work works. Those guys are putting work in. They're putting time in. They're communicating with me, extra to try and get more film study in, and they're doing a good job. So. Like I said, if we could just eliminate the turnovers and the discipline side of the penalties, I think, hopefully we'd be feeling a little bit different. But nothing really surprised me. I thought he did a good job. Thought he made good decisions, for the most part. What
does Korey Tai bring to the offense? What elements does he add?
Yeah, I mean, you see the suddenness, the explosiveness, the ability to make plays with the ball in his hands, and that's why you saw him get early touches. And I've said it before. I said it to the ESPN crew when we were down in Manhattan. Like to me, it's like the NBA now. LeBron's got to get his shots in the first quarter. Steph Curry's got to get his shots in the first quarter. I got to do a good job. Our staff's got to do a good job of getting Korey Tai touches in the first half. That's on me. And he's done a good job of being explosive and making plays when the ball's in his hand. Got to continue to hone in on the details of playing the receiver position, but you're going to see that consistently throughout the year where we're going to try and just get touches to our playmakers, and he's done a nice job from a year ago, similar to Jerry, just the development of, kind of having a package for Kory last year and having a, set number of plays like, hey, this is what you're going to be looking at. Now, I mean, we just let it loose, cut it loose and let him do what he's got to do. And he did a good job. He did a nice job. Got to continue to get better. But, yeah, I mean, great player. We got to get the ball to him.
Coach, we also saw, on Saturday, the running back room had a pretty good evening. What did you see from, players like Sawyer and Xavier just being able to expose the defense?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to continue to see stuff like that all year where we have a stable of backs where we feel like, the 3 of them that played are good, but we feel like we got 4 or 5 of them that are really pretty good. And again, like Korey Tai, we got to find ways to get those guys touches, and that's why you saw all 3 of them at different moments in the game. And, I think you got to give compliments to the offensive line, the tight ends and fullbacks in the blocking area, and when they hit their aiming points and they do a good job of being on time and trusting it, having good tempo and all that stuff. Our O-line is tough. Our tight ends are tough. They're going to create some lanes and they're going to make plays as a result of it. And like I said, the staff put a great plan together, and I think it's really important that we continue to do that because they're all really good players. They're all really good backs, catching, obviously handing it to them and running it. But we got to find ways to get them all the ball, and I think if we can continue to do that, lean on that O-line, they're doing some good things, they'll be all right.
Now, I know you said you weren't surprised by anything that Jerry had done, but
yeah.
For you as a coach, how exciting was it to see him dive in the end zone for that loose ball and get a touchdown?
Well, I made a big emphasis of it on Sunday with the staff, and then I made a big emphasis with the team, on the offensive side when we had our unit meeting. I mean, you come to practice, you watch us practice, and we talk about we're never going to coach effort and your energy, right? You're going to practice. We say you burst through 2 lines. The whistle blows, you burst through 2 lines. You're trying to work on your conditioning, but you're also putting a mental, physical toughness side of the game to, hey, I'm going to finish each play longer and harder and faster than the team across from us. And, it was really special, to be honest with you. I was really disappointed in the fumble, obviously, and all that stuff. But, there was K-State guys that were a lot closer to that football than us in green on Saturday. And, I know Jerry got on it and he jumped on it and all that stuff, but Mason South was right there, and there was one other guy on our team that was right there that, to be honest, I made a huge emphasis of it on Sunday. Like, this is why we practice the way that we do. We don't ever get tired. We're on the offensive. We're bursting through 2 lines, right? It's a mental thing. It's also a physical thing. Like, hey, I'm going to finish this play. I'm going to play it longer than the guy across from me. And it showed up right there. I mean, it's not how we drew it up. Wasn't how we wanted it to go. But you'll take it 100% of the time. And I was really proud of those guys for just playing with maximum effort at all times. So.
All right. Well, my final question is obviously you guys are dealing with some injuries on the offensive line, but when Caleb went down and then the next play Sawyer runs up the middle wide open, what can you say about how the offensive line played on Saturday? Yeah,
I mean, I think you see the development from years, and we've talked about it. Coach talked about it with getting your 2s and your 3s to be pushing your 1s right as you go and getting them obviously game reps, but getting them bigger, faster, stronger was really the big thing for us as we look back a year ago. And those 5 guys that were playing up front, we knew we needed to be a year stronger, a year bigger, and all that stuff. And there you're seeing, hopefully not very much of a drop-off when somebody like Caleb gets injured and gets taken out for a couple plays, couple series here and there. You see a 2 that can come in and can do some things to try and just keep the ship going in the right direction, and it's not a big drop-off. And, we talked about, hey, we didn't even really notice that Caleb wasn't in, which is a good thing, right? So just continuing to try and develop those guys. They've done a really good job in the offseason of getting bigger, faster, stronger, and I think it shows up right there, right? You get an opportunity to trust that group. They've been the best group when it comes to the starving board for the last, however long since Coach Schmidt's been here. Collectively, no surprise to me that, somebody steps in and they do a heck of a job.
Kory, what did you think of Saturday and your ability to get more involved in the offense? Did you see that coming? Any of that surprise you, or what was your takeaway?
Yeah. So I saw it coming about 10 minutes before the game. Coach Bradshaw came up to me and he was like, we're going to give you this first drive. And I was ready for it. It felt really good, just working so hard throughout camp and just being able to go out there and put my best foot forward for the team.
Can you kind of talk about your career a little bit? Coming out of high school, you played some quarterback, wide receiver.
Yes, sir.
What was the process like getting acclimated to college football here leading up to this moment Saturday?
It was definitely a challenge playing quarterback in high school. I played quarterback all throughout high school, and just being recruited, it was a little bit tough, just saying I was a little bit undersized at quarterback and stuff like that. And then obviously being able to get an opportunity to come play wide receiver here at the University of North Dakota. There was its challenges, but I think it was good for me. And,
Your first couple years on campus, you have to be a little bit patient with Bo Belquist playing Bo Belquist stuff,
Yeah, it was good being able to learn from Bo, just having a veteran in the room. I learned a lot from him in the 2 years I was playing with him, and he's taught me a lot.
What do you think of UND football now being ranked number 20 in the country?
I think that we really can't look at the rankings. It's cool, but we just got to stay focused on what we got to do. Just focus on Portland State this week. Just not really worrying about any rankings.
What did you think of Jerry Kaminsky's debut as a starting quarterback?
Yeah, I'm really proud for Jerry. That's my roommate, and we always talk about having moments like that, and just always talked about and dreaming about being able to go out there and make plays for the team and just have success. And I think that he handled it really well out there on Saturday, and I'm looking forward for what he has to do in the future.
Question for you, Kory, is how did you feel the team, responded to playing in a nighttime game, on the road against an FBS ranked opponent?
I feel like we handled it really well. We didn't really look at their ranking or who we were playing too much. We just focused out there. We were just going out there and just focusing on what we had to do, just with a winning mindset. Just not really worried about who we have to play, and yeah.
In offseason, the questions of who's going to step up at that Bo, role. And wide receiver room was really good on Saturday, with you, Dennis and Dang Dang. What's it like being part of that wide receiver room?
It's awesome, There's a lot of guys in that room, and I just think that it's important for us to stick together and just to keep pushing each other each and every day so that we can have success out there.
All right, well, then that final question I have for you is you guys get ready for Portland State. What are you looking forward to most with this first home game?
A home game. Another night game. I think it's going to be a great atmosphere, and we can't take any opponent lightly, so I just think that it's important for us to just go out there, stay ourselves, and just try to get this W.
What impressed you most about your team from Saturday that you want to carry into next week?
I think that we all stayed together. Coach Schmidt had a great point yesterday. Like, nobody was on the sideline with bad attitudes, like coming off the field. We all stay positive out there. And I think that that's important for us going into this week, just to have a 1-0 mindset and just to stay positive and together.
Well, Jai, what was your biggest takeaway from Saturday? How do you feel about this team moving forward based on that result?
I feel good. I think the biggest takeaway was our will to actually win the game. We wanted to go out there and win. And I feel like that was the biggest takeaway, that will to win. We're going to take that to every game this season. So that was my biggest takeaway from that game.
What do you want to see this week now leading into a home game?
I want to see the same thing I saw last week, the will to win, the one to be better. I think we want to be better in the details and the execution part, but that's what I want to see most this week is the details part.
Obviously, like you said, you guys wanted that win. But what were you impressed the most with in terms of this new defensive scheme? Was it the communication? What really stood out to you guys?
What really stood out was I would say communication. We need to do a little bit better of it, but I say like all of us being on the same page, that was really well. We were all on the same page. We were all good. We were getting 3 and outs. We were getting out the field. We were playing with confidence. We were playing together. We was playing good. So that was the best thing, I think, for the defense. So that was pretty good from the game.
And then at one point you guys were down, 10, going into that fourth quarter. How much of a confidence booster is it to know that you guys did have some drives that you stopped them on and got your offense back out there?
I mean, it's a big confidence booster. When you think about momentum in a football game, when you get those 3 and outs and those 3 and out stops and you keep getting them, the momentum shifts. And obviously we saw how well, like when the momentum shift, we started getting better and coming together and being positive. So momentum is a big thing in football games like that.
And then final question I have is, on the defensive side, we saw, multiple times that you guys were able to get towards the quarterback or, make some pressures. How much of that also helps you guys knowing that you guys are covering downfield and giving your defense enough time to get to the QB?
That really plays a big part in just the D-line. Them being able to get back there and get pressure, that also helps us, play better coverage. Less time he has, the better it is for us in coverage. So I really appreciate our D-line for doing that. So that's all thanks to the D-line.
Just a lot of positive buzz surrounding this team after the weekend. Now you get to bring it home in front of your fans. Just talk about the environment of the Potato Bowl this weekend.
Well, the Alaris is a great environment, actually. So it's going to be a great environment. It's a night game. So I'm looking very forward to it. We're looking very forward to it. So we just want to go out there and be 1-0, get another win or get a win.